Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the IWW PODCAST. This week, we decided to do something slightly different than usual. Since the Lazio game was pretty much perfect, we didn't have too many things to talk about. We decided to focus mainly on the derby, and we made our own three small derby. So you're gonna listen to three parts with one Milan supporter and one Inter supporter. We have Moeman and Steve from the Milan Weekly Podcast. Um, then we're gonna have the users on Twitter, as Persnitch and Saturnion. They are twin brothers, so it will be fun to see how do they live the derby. And then we have two guests from Milan. We have Giulio di Cienzo that you guys already know, and then we have Paolo from ComunqueMilan. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and buon derby a tutti. Have a good day.
Hello, everybody. So, we're going to talk about the derby with Mo, our tactic analyst from Inter Worldwide. Hi, Mo.
Hello, everyone. Nice to talk to you guys before the derby.
And for the other side, we have a special guest from the Milan Weekly Podcast. We have Steve Polillo. Hi, Steve. Welcome to Inter Worldwide.
Thank you very much for welcoming me. I know that really Inter Worldwide is not welcoming me, but thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, no. We are always very nice with our guests, no matter which team they support. Don't worry, we don't bite. So, this is a special week, not only because it's the week that brings to the derby, but because for the first time since the triplete season, Inter is back on top on the second half of the season. That never happened in the last 10 years. So this is a very incredible moment. But is it going to last, and for how long? So this coming weekend we have the derby, and I want to give the word to our guest, Steve, for you, if you want to tell us what you think of that game. I know that you guys have also the Europa League game coming up, so take it away.
Yeah, so for the Milan side there, we gave you a late Christmas gift this weekend where Milan forgot that they had a game against Spezia before the Derby della Madonnina. So on Milan Weekly Podcast, we talked about it shortly. I warned everybody. I had a feeling that the Spezia game was going to be a trap game, and unfortunately, Milan didn't show up for that, and Inter took care of business against Lazio, right? But what's magical about the derby and what I love about the derby is basically anything that happened before, you crumple it up, you throw it away in the garbage, and Milan and Inter suit up, and that game is on an island by itself, right? So, we won the last derby. We hadn't won in a long time. And now the pressure's on, right? It's the first time in a very long time that both Inter and Milan don't only have just bragging rights to play for in the derby, they're actually playing for positioning. So I'm curious to see how that affects both teams tactically and mentally. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen on Sunday.
Oh, what do you think is going to happen on Sunday?
So for me, I'm excited. This is very exciting derby. It's actually better than the first one, I think, because now there is a little bit of a breathing room between Inter and Milan and the teams behind. So I think now there is even more pressure on both of them because if Inter wins, it's going to be 4 points difference, and that will put a little bit of like Milan in the back mirror. But also Milan are coming after a defeat, which puts a lot of fire in the players, and I'm just excited. And for the tactics part of the game, I think it's a midfield battle. Depending on what Conte decides, if he's gonna put Eriksen in the field or he's gonna play somebody else. Because with Eriksen on the field, there is an extra element that Pioli has to think about, which is not only Brozovic will be able to build from the back, there's Eriksen as well. He drops and he gives a lot of breathing space to Brozovic. So it will be Ben Nasser and Cassia. They will have to play more, maybe press more on Eriksson and Brozovic in close to Inter's back line when they build from the back. And also we're coming after the heat between Lukaku and Ibrahimovic. And it's just exciting. For the tactics, as Steve said, sometimes the Derby della Madonnina throws everything away, and it's all about the fire in the field. This is what who will come on top. I'm not sure because people say even if Milan's come from defeat, it's actually sometimes it's a push forward for them. They want to bounce back right away, and that's what I think is the main thing about this derby is that there is only 1 point and there is a breathing space behind them.
So going back to Steve, now we already played twice this season, and it's 1-1 basically. We won one and we lost one. So how do you think mentally this is gonna go with the Milan players? Of course, Ibrahimovic on top of everybody else. What do you think is the situation mentally, and then physically? How are the players? Are they able to play during the week and the weekend as well?
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Like we have, like you said at the beginning, there is a Europa League match before the derby. I think it's important. I think after Milan's performance or lack of performance over the weekend, I think the best thing for them is to get back on the field. Get back on the field and have a good performance, win or loss, right? Like guys, I'm the most realistic I feel of Milan fans, right? I don't think Milan could win every single game that they go on to the pitch and suit up for, right? And Milan doesn't have a deep squad, as you can see. We've been starting to see it in 2021 with injuries and COVID. Uh, these players need to play, and right now Pioli has a tough decision on what he wants to do in Europa League. It seems from what I read that he's going to rotate, and I think it's good, right? Because those players will get some minutes, and in the Derby della Madonnina, anything could happen, and we need those players mentally and physically ready, right? So, I think physically is not going to be the major point, in my opinion. For me, it's going to be psychologically. Uh, Look, again, I don't know what's going to happen Thursday. I don't know what's going to happen in the Derby, but I know that those players better get ready and better get ready to perform because now we're getting to that critical point, right? For Milan, yeah, we had some negative results. We had a string of positive results. You lost against a team that played fantastically well over the weekend, and I tip my hat to them in Spezia. But now it's derby time, right? It's time to have another performance. And for me, Milan, tactically, I get the midfield battle, but for me, Milan always worries me on the flanks, right? So you would think that people would attack them on the left-hand side, which would be Milan's right-hand side, because we just don't have the quality on the right-hand side. But it seems everybody attacks us on our left-hand side because they know how aggressive Theo Hernandez is, and we saw that in game one of the derby, right? Hakimi really had a field day with Theo Hernandez on that side, and I think that's going to be a big factor in the derby as well. But again, for Milan, it's going to be psychological, almost at 100%.
And on the other hand, I think this is the first time in I don't know 4 months probably that we don't have so much uh, days, so many days between one game and the other. Do you think, Mo, this is gonna affect us in any way? We're gonna lose some tension. We used to play every 3 or 4 days, over and over and over, and now we have this big break before a big game. Do you think it's gonna have any influence on the players, or it's just a good way to recharge the battery?
I think this is Conte's time. Conte always likes to play without a game in midweek. This is what he likes all the time. This is where when he wins. I want to quote Steve here about when he said that he's not expecting Milan to win every game on the field. And some Inter fans need to realize this as well. We're not going to win every single game, even if we don't have Europe and the other team has Europe. Like as Steve said, the reports say that Milan will rotate on Thursday, so they might have a fresh legs on for the derby on Sunday, and that will be the factor is who is going to play on Thursday, because it's only 3 days in between. It's a big factor. And I want to just say that the flanks are key, especially that right flank for Inter, the left for Milan, Theo Hernandez and Ashraf Hakimi. It's a massive thing. But I am, as an Inter fan, worried about Calabria. The guy is coming into terms with the team. He is playing magically, that he's knocking on the door for the Azzurri. I fear for our left side, which is our weaker side, even though Ivan Perisic played good last game, I still think that Calabria is a very good player this season. He creates a lot. Even when he played in the midfield, he showed his quality. He is getting better and better with every game. And I think he was suspended only for one game. And Steve can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, one game.
Yes, so he's coming back. Diego Dalot, I think he's gonna play Thursday, but he's gonna take the bench on Sunday. And that's a big factor because until now, Inter, they cannot find the best formula for the left side. Is it Perisic or Young or sometimes Darmian? And also it depends who's going to play on the left midfield. Is it Eriksen, Vidal, Sensi, Gagliardini? It makes a big difference on who is the left wing back that plays for Inter. And that also will be in Pioli's mind about who is he going to play on that side. Is it Castillejo? Is it Salamakers? Who is going to play on that side? Especially when Çalhanoğlu is back. So he is the playmaker. So it makes a big difference, that right side for them. I know that the left side is great for Milan. Theo Hernandez. Nobody can actually argue that he's the best left back in Serie A, if not the world right now, in my opinion. But that right side is going to be key because this is the one where nobody expects that to happen. But Conte has a week to prepare. I am, as an Inter fan, expecting Inter to come on top just because of the no game within 7 days. It's a massive thing sometimes for coaches to work on every single detail they want to work on. So this is the only, I think, extra thing that Inter has, that they don't have a midweek game.
Steve, do you want to answer to Mo, add anything about the tactical of Milan at the moment?
Yeah, Calabria has been playing well, and I say, and you know, I'm someone famous for an unpopular opinion. I think Theo Hernandez has a bit to go to be the best left back in Serie A and in the world. You know, unfortunately, defensively, he's sheltered a bit by when Milan can play Rebic on that side because of the work that he does, and the work that Kessie does and Benacer do in the midfield to cover. So, you know, there has to be a reason there more for why Theo Hernandez doesn't get selected for France, right? So we have to, you know, as Milan fans, you know, and we have to come to terms with, you know, I think he's fantastic at what he does. I think he needs to improve a lot defensively, and you know, he's got exploited a couple of times this season, right? So when he's allowed to play his aggressive game and go forward, I agree. Very dangerous, almost untouchable. But when coaches, like you said, have time to prepare, they'll be able to neutralize that, right? For me, Another big factor is I hope this whole Zlatan and Lukaku stuff goes in the garbage and it's over with. To be very honest, you, I'm kind of an old school guy there. I like the fire, I like the heat between each other, but it has to stay on the field. It can't go outside the field, right? Once it goes outside the field, I find that it's a bit of he said she said kind of stuff, and it gets blown out of proportion. But if the fire stays on the field, I'm all for it.
I like that, Steve. I like that what you said here. We want the fire on the field. And I quote a lot of people now saying that, we want the players to be nice. No, I want the fire on the field. I don't want it to go outside the pitch, but I want everybody, us fans, we enjoy that extra heat on the field when only it stays on the field. But I like that. And
Yeah,
also, yes, go ahead.
yeah, and it's important, right? Like I'm gonna date myself here there, but I remember sitting and watching soccer with my father, right? When I started getting into calcio many moons ago. Man, no one was picking themselves up. No one was talking about exchanging jerseys. No, there was a 90-minute game to play, guys. There was a 90-minute game, and you hated each other for 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, you want to go eat with your family and your friends at the restaurant. Don't get caught on photo, and it's fine. But now I think we've even as a society, I think we've become a little bit too delicate, and every single little thing is blown out of proportion. And that's why I keep on saying I love when the fire stays on the field. As soon as it gets out of the field, unfortunately, I don't want to disrespect any journalists or people that blog and whatever, but their job is to blow it out of proportion for clicks, likes, retweets, whatever hell you want. But it paints the wrong picture of the game, right? That's the fire. That's the aggressiveness of soccer. Besides the tactical beauty of the sport that I love, that aggression is needed in soccer, and I find we're losing that. Like 50-50 challenges now don't exist anymore. It's automatically a foul. A hard slide tackle is looked over at super slow motions to find out if someone's gonna get a red card, and it's gonna change the game for everybody. It's like
I love it, Steve.
we're getting to a point that we're losing that 90 minutes of beauty. We're losing it completely.
I love it, Steve. This is exactly what's on my mind. And also, I want to add one thing. When Steve talking about the Theo Hernandez, it's very good to see how the Milan people think about their players. It's exactly when I talk to Alaziali or I talk to a Juventino, when they talk about Lautaro Martinez, they think, what are you guys complaining about? He has 11 goals. But we as Interisti, we always see the bad side. It's always that the fan of the club does not see the bright side of the play. Like you saw the defensive defect on Theo, and we only see Theo running the field and making all this stuff happen. So I like that to hear a Milanista talk about Theo Hernandez. It was great,
Yeah.
to be honest.
You know what it is, Mo? It's because we watch. I'm gonna speak for myself. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I watch Milan. I've been watching them for years now, and I've just came out of suffering for 10 years. Suffered of real shit soccer. Sorry, I swore on the. I'm
That's
sorry, but
okay.
you can take it. Real shit soccer, right? And now they're finally playing some half decent type of soccer. For me, I'm realistic. My goal at the beginning of the season for Milan was point 1, 2, 3, or 4. Those are the places that I want. If you said at the beginning of the season, Steve, Milan finishes fourth. Perfect, guys. You removed at least 4 or 5 months of stress from my life. I can concentrate on playing with my kids and my daughter. And you know what? Let's go to next year. Don't even play the rest of the games. I don't even want to watch them anymore. I want to go to Champions League. But in the end, I'm not happy with fourth place. Like, I'm not happy just with fourth place. Like, I'm used to watching Milan win. I want to win. I want to go for the Scudetto. Like Inter should be going for the Scudetto. Right now, Juventus is at its weakest point. It's time to kick them off the pedestal, and someone else is gonna take that pedestal.
Fantastic. Great. That's
Yeah,
exactly what
that's
we think we should do.
lovely. I could stay here and speak with you guys all day, all night. I know that Steve, you have to go and report and record your own podcast.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you so much and let you know you're always welcome here. And last question for both of you: really quick, really easy. What's your score prediction? Steve?
I'll be very honest, to Alessandro. I hate making predictions there.
Oh, I know, me too.
I hate making predictions just because, first of all, I'm always wrong. But I think this one will be tightly. It will be a little bit tighter than usual. I say something like maybe I see a draw for some reason. I see a draw, and I see a 1-1 or 2-2 draw.
Okay. No?
I have to agree with Steve. I see a draw 1-1 or 2-2 there.
All right. We'll be well balanced. One victory, one draw, one loss.
Alessandro, you have to keep this you have to keep this recording because an Interista and a Milanista, they agreed on something.
I know. Something magical is in there. Okay. Thank you so much. And have a wonderful derby.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Here we go. Welcome back to everybody. This is the second part of our podcast. And in this part, we're going to have another Milan and Inter supporter. But in this case, we have two brothers, twins. You know them on Twitter as Persnitch and Saturnion. And we have Sash and Nash. Hi guys, how are you?
Hello, how's it going, guys? Hello as well.
Okay. As you can see here, it sounds like it's the same person, but I assure you it's not. But so it's gonna be fun. So guys, how are you? First of all, everything's fine.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, everything's going well. How about you?
Oh, good. Oh, good. I can't wait for the coming game, and I guess you as well. One of you is gonna have a game coming up tomorrow.
Of course.
But let's focus on the derby. So I'm gonna start with Saj. How do you think is the Milan situation right now, mentally and physically, before the derby?
Milan is in a really weird moment at this point. But the thing is, I think tomorrow's Europa League game is a blessing in disguise because most of Milan's players have been injured in the past month. And so we lost games against Juventus and Atalanta. And we had to play Davide Calabria in midfield, for example, and Meite as attacking mid. And last week, Milan lost to Spezia, which was a big shock. But then again, that game, that's the game where we had most of our players returning, and they were all out of form. So hopefully tomorrow's game against Red Star Belgrade will give minutes and some minutes to our returning players, and hopefully we'll be much more ready this time around for the derby.
And what do you think is the Inter situation right now, Naj? Mentally and physically, this is, as I was saying in the previous part, this is the first time in a long time that we have a whole week to focus just on one game. Do you think it's gonna play in our advantage or not?
Well, we just came from an amazing win against Lazio, so I'm praying and I'm hoping that Conte keeps our squad motivated and prepared and focused for the derby this weekend. So yeah, that's my main concern. Like, we need to keep our enthusiasm right there, up there, and approach the game in the right manner, because in the last three derbies we've been conceding first as well, and I prefer to get comfortable win this time.
Okay, and now let's focus a little bit more on your particular situation, because I cannot even imagine how it is to live with somebody who support the opposite team, living in the same house. So, how do you guys live the derby usually?
It's always, this is Saj speaking, the Milan supporter. It's always a weird week when the derby comes around, but we try to keep excited, but we do give like small jabs like on who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, who's getting humiliated, who's getting the last laugh. I've been eating good for the last 3-4 years though, because it has been humiliating Milan for the past couple of years. So We're eating good.
What you are to say, Nash?
I just jumped in Sajat's conversation, but
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So hold on a second. You guys watch the game together, or you prefer watch it separately? How does
Like
it work?
we put it on the TV and then watch it together. And we just try to be as quiet as possible because derby comebacks and everything happen a lot. So we just try to talk shit at the end of the match.
Okay. And what's the best and the worst memory for each of you of the recent derby? Well, actually, what's the first derby you remember?
It's to be fair, we've been like following the sport casually for a while. So our first derby was a while ago, and I don't remember much from it. But like in recent memory, for example, last year's Milan lost to Inter when we were 2-0 up, and then Inter came back, scoring 4 goals in one half. That was really deflating, and I hope never happens again.
And the one since you remember, which one is the best that you remember, Saj?
So the one earlier this season was really good when Ibra scored twice, but I really like the one from 2016 where Milan beat Inter 3-0 with Icardi missing a penalty, and it was such a perfect day for me. So that's my best
And
memory.
Naj, what's for? Yep.
To be fair, we haven't lost to Milan for a while, so I'd probably say the first derby of this season was probably like the worst one because we also had a lot of players missing. The best derby has to be not the 4-2 win, but the 3-2 Icardi hat trick. That was a day. That was amazing.
Right. So also, you have a lot of followers on Twitter. Have you guys already something ready for this derby? Is a victory or loss, or are you gonna just wing it based on what's gonna happen?
We always wing it. Like we don't really keep drafts for tweets.
Okay.
It depends on the context of the match.
Okay. Fair enough. Then let's try to see what do you think is going to happen this particular game. What's your prediction overall, Naj?
All right. So I don't like to jinx it and don't like to claim a scoreline. I would take a draw, to be honest, but I think we'll concede first as usual, and hopefully we'll try to do a comeback. I can see a 2-1 victory to Inter, hopefully, but I can also see a draw happening as well. So I'm going to be 2-1 to Inter. Just I'll go with 55% victory to Inter.
Okay, and Saj?
Basically, Milan performs the worst when we are the favorites, and for the past year or so, Milan plays the best when we are the underdogs. And somehow this time around, even though we were first place for a long time, we are back to being the underdogs, and that's hopefully that we can catch Inter off guard. And so I'm expecting a high scoring game because Milan's defense has been a bit iffy, and Ibra is Ibra. So I'd say 2-1 Milan win or a 3-2 win, something exciting.
Okay, I have a last question for Saj. Overall, what do you think of this Milan season? I mean, starting, I guess you wouldn't expect to be first of the table for so long. So right now, would you be happy with Champions League spot at the end of the season, or you start to believe, well, actually, we can do something more?
I have to be honest, like it's so obvious Milan is overachieving with the players we have. Like first place has been a miracle in my honest opinion. And even right now, if you tell me play the way you're doing now, or you're guaranteed, or choose top four, I'll just choose top four. I don't want to risk not getting Champions League again. So I will only start talking about the title when it's, for example, end of March and we're still around first. So until then, I'll just say like top 4 is good enough.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys. And I hope, in case we lose the game, the Sarge is not gonna be too hard on us, please. And Naj, you can promise the same. Come on, we are gonna be fine. We already won one, so. All right. Anything else you want to add? Want to plug anything?
Just thank you very much for having us. Really, I'm not having
course,
Sajjad
thank
back
you.
in the podcast. This is the first and the last time.
All right. I hope you have a great derby, and thank you again.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. See ya.
Bye bye. Welcome back for our last section. We decided to bring you to the heart of Milan. We have one Inter supporter that you already know, and that's Giulio Cienzo. Hi, Giulio.
Hi, everyone.
And then we have a Milan supporter, Paolo Madeddu. Hi, Paolo.
Ciao, everybody. I'm talking on behalf of ComunqueMilan, which is our group on the internet and social networks. Ciao.
Exactly. I was about to introduce you as well. And as you can tell, they're both Italian. They're both from Milan. So let's talk about derby first, this specific one, and then I'm gonna ask you more in general about how do you guys live the derby usually pre-COVID. So let's start with Paolo. What do you think is gonna happen?
Well, I'm a bit anxious, of course, because we are playing this week 3 games. One against Crvena Zvezda, the Red Star of Belgrade, and 2 days and a half after this match, this European match, we are going to play against the almighty Inter, the powerful and the powerful leader of the Serie A, who is doomed to win the championship, as Giulio knows. And so I'm a bit nervous, but when I'm talking to you, I'm nervous also thinking about the European League, the Europa League match. So let's say that right now I'm thinking about the Red Star. Then I'll be thinking about Inter. Well, it's going to be another social derby because we are not going to face the Inter supporters in San Siro, and a few of us are going to see them at the workplace or at school in these days, since the COVID is keeping a lot of us at home. So the reciprocal nagging and bragging is left to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and it's not a gentleman's sport because it's nastier, I think. I don't know if Giulio agrees with me, but it's funnier, and also it's beautiful when you are face to face with the enemy, and after all, you can say, well, you won, we lost, or you lost, but you look each other into the eyes of the opponents, and it's different, and it's a bit sad, but what can you do?
Giulio, what do you think is gonna happen?
It's a little bit difficult to tell because Inter is always a difficult squad to understand. So it's not easy predict what Inter will do on the derby on this Sunday. Milan was on the top of the Serie A until the last week, and has a great identity, has some strong players that knows how to play, and are very comfortable in Pioli's method. So it's not easy to play against them. The Europa League factor will take away some energies, but it's an important game for the bottom teams. That's because the Serie A table is very strict, and Inter is ahead of Milan just of 1 point. So this game is something like a Mexican standoff, and if who will win will get something more than the 3 points that are the real value of this game.
Okay, one more question. If you have to pick one tactical match, one tactical key for this game, what do you think is gonna be in like 1 minute, like one thing that you guys are gonna try to take advantage of, or vice versa, Paolo?
The thing I fear the most of Inter, but it's always been this way in the last years, is they are aggressive, they are very physical, and it's easy to say that Lukaku is the player I fear the most, but also Barella and also Hakimi. They are very physically strong, and they are very focused. They put a lot of energy and stamina in the game, and this probably is a factor. And I think that this was a kind of a trick that Zlatan Ibrahimovic tried to play on Lukaku on the last Coppa Italia match. I think that he wanted to exasperate, he wanted to keep Lukaku nervous, and the plan backfired, of course, because Ibrahimovic was sent off, and I think rightly so. I'm sorry to say it, but until that moment, we were ahead. We were winning 1-0, and so I hope that my side, AC Milan, is going to stay calm and focused, and not because if they try to get physical and go to a nervous match, they're always going to lose.
Giulio? Talking about the tactical side, the key duel is on the side where Inter has Hakimi and Milan has Theo Hernandez. That are the two of the key players of the two teams that plays one in front of the other. Another key factor for Inter, in my opinion, is to be a little bit cynical in front of Donnarumma, because in the two previous games, Inter created a lot of occasions, but get a lot, and let me tell another time, a lot of difficulties to convert the occasions in goals. So they need to score goals, but and that's easy to say, but sometimes it's not so clear. Apart of that, for AC Milan, I'm curious to see the role of Çalhanoğlu, because he's an important player for Pioli in both when Milan has the ball and when has the ball, also for set pieces and so on. And so I'm curious to see the impact of Çalhanoğlu in the game, and if Inter can find a way to overcome his presence.
Okay, and finally, I would like to know from you, most of the listeners of this podcast, of the reader of our website, they are not from Italy, they are not from Milan. Myself, I've been at the derby just a couple of times, but You guys live there, and I'm sure you went to the derby plenty of time, so to San Siro when it was possible. So can you please bring us a memory, or can you bring us there with your memories, Paolo? What you can tell us about the derby at San Siro?
Ah, there are so many of them. Right now, I couldn't tell. Of course, it's funny because those that I remember the most, I'm afraid to confess, are those when we have lost. I don't know if it's the same for Giulio, but it's hard to get home to walk in the Viale Caprilli, to get on the car and drive home, while the others are partying and chanting and horning their on their cars. And so I remember, well, last time I was there and we have lost. It was it was a lot of years ago actually. I think that Bobo Vieri made the goal at the time. So I've been fortunate, and it's a lot of time. It's been a lot of time since I've been to the San Siro and lost one derby.
The first thing to say is that in Milan, where there is a derby, there is a great atmosphere, and everything is limited to jokes and the things between the supporters, but without any violence or any problems apart of that. So you get choreographies, chants, and so on, and it's a really great atmosphere. Apart of that, I also have some specific memories about the derby Inter lost, and it's an appropriate point, but also, but not only for the one that I see at San Siro, but also the one that I see in my house. So I have some difficulties when we lost the derby. The derby, I remember most as an Inter supporter. The most famous one is the one in 2009-2010 when we won 4-0. But I remember with particular emphasis the derby that we won with the famous goal of Adriano with that strange head and then touch. But because I was a huge fan of Adriano, so I tend to remember nearly everything positive that he have done in Inter shirt. But I have many memories in positive and negative. For remember one derby that I remember with terrible feelings is the derby when we were up 2-0 and then Milan get to win for 3-2. So I have some terrible memories.
So let's pretend you guys this weekend could go to the derby. How will be your day, pretty much? Like things to do before the derby that you used to do.
I'll be probably very, very, very nervous since the moment I wake up. But there are no particular jinxes or no particular personal strategies. I walk and say I don't do anything scaramantic.
Is there like one place you go
because
before?
because if it worked, if it really worked, I would do that every time, but it doesn't.
I have the same problem, and it's the same for me. But I have to confess that since I can't go to San Siro, I don't feel the anxiety of the game in the same way that I used to have when I can go to the stadium. So I get in the mood of the game a little bit late, and the fact is that I'm not used to play a derby on Sunday in afternoon. So I have to see how the anxiety get up in the course of the day, and how it will also influence my lunch.
Okay. So I know you guys are busy, so one last question, very quick. I know it's awful, but I asked the same question to all the other guests, so a
A
really
pronostico.
quick, yes, a really prediction of the game. Just
They
the
are going to
score.
win. They are going to win.
Who?
Inter is going to win. Is going to crash us. They are the best team. They are going to win the Serie A, and Giulio knows it.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes. No, I
a
know
final score.
we are doomed to win. You were right when you say that before. But the entire Serie A, not only this game.
So Paolo, final score for you.
Uh, okay, let's say 3-1 for them.
Ecco. It was the same result that I want to tell, so I said 3-1 for us too.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you are so confident.
All right, guys. It was a lot of fun. And thank you so much. Thank you, Paolo.
Thank you.
Paolo, if you want to plug anything, please go ahead.
No.
If you have any, no.
I'm running to see the match, the Red Star
All
Milan.
right. Yeah, we are recording right before the Milan game in Europa League. So I'll let you go. Thank you again, Giulio.
Oh, thank you, Alessandro. You're welcome.
And speak to you soon, okay? Bye, everybody.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao, ciao.
Ciao.